I need you people to wake up and critically think and stop believing this shit that you see on TikTok, okay?
You mean to tell me you believe that this man is making your Birkins in China? If he's a Birkin artisan, then I'm an astronaut.
Hermes, once untouchable, now finds itself dragged into one of the most explosive scandals in luxury fashion history. The French powerhouse, long celebrated for its elegance, exclusivity, and that iconic Birkin bag, is suddenly under fire. Not from critics or watchdogs, but from the very factories that claim to be producing their high-end products. Allegedly, Chinese manufacturers have stepped forward with receipts, literally and figuratively, pulling back the curtain on what they...
It starts with 30 distinct cuts of leather and can take 20 hours to complete, 4 hours for just the handle. Put the finishing touches on a Kelly, the most difficult bag to build. Artisans rely on their training and muscle memory to make every bag.
Say is Hermès' biggest secret. The real cost of luxury, and it's not pretty. These manufacturers are claiming that the eye-watering $38,000 price tag slapped on some of Hermès' most sought-after handbags is a complete scam. According to them, the actual production cost of these bags sits somewhere around $1,450. That's not a typo. $1,450, a markup of over 90%. And here's where it gets even messier.
You can continue to expose all of these retailers. Nobody's going to care.
I am about to crash.
Y'all would never catch me in nothing fake. No fake earrings, no fake bracelets, no fake shoes, nothing fake designer. It's gonna be a no for me.
Out.
These same manufacturers say they've been making these bags for years. Not knockoffs, not replicas. The real thing. The implication that Hermès isn't exactly the French-made fairy tale it pretends to be. They're not just talking numbers, they're naming materials, detailing stitching techniques, and even dropping shipping timelines. The entire luxury ecosystem built around Hermès' image of meticulous, artisanal craftsmanship is being ripped apart thread by thread. And people are listening.
This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD.
Have you all seen that TikTok by the Chinese guy exposing how luxury goods are actually made? The only real difference? China ships the products to Europe, slaps on a Made in France or Made in Italy label, and boom, luxury? It's ridiculous.
This isn't a little blog rumor or a niche Reddit theory. These accusations are hitting global media. It's the kind of reveal that makes customers wonder, what exactly are we paying for? Craftsmanship or clout. The myth of a French artisan laboring over a Birkin in a sunlit atelier is being replaced with images of industrial assembly lines in Shenzhen. And the worst part? Consumers are starting to believe it.
None of the brands these creators mention, Louis Vuitton, Prada, Chanel, especially Hermes, need to go to China for production. And here is why. Labels like Made in France and Made in Italy comes with strict restrictions. And brands at that level don't risk compromising that. It's just not worth it.
That's why this expose isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous for Hermès. Because once people stop believing in the illusion stops being worth $38,000. And what did Hermès do in response? If Hermès thought silence was golden, they clearly tossed that philosophy out the window the second this scandal caught fire. In a dramatic, and some say desperate, move, Hermès launched a barrage of lawsuits against the manufacturers making...
These are pieces of artwork. These artisans train years and years to make one of these bags.
Fabrice is doing the last stitching on a Kelly bag. A Kelly takes around 13 hours to be made, depending on the materials that we make it. Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag.
Well, Hermes says, made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not a quality issue. It's luxury brand washing.
Hermes, you guys, it's time to show off your factories. No, I don't want to wait to go on YouTube and watch a beautiful documentary on show them off right here on TikTok. Let the world see. Okay, get like China. You gotta be ghetto about it. Just let people know.
These claims. The luxury titan is accusing them of intellectual property theft, trade secret violations, and flat-out defamation. And just like that, the gloves came off. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of denying the manufacturer's involvement altogether, Hermès is going after them legally, arguing that even if they did produce anything resembling Hermès goods, it was unauthorized, off-book, or counterfeit. They're doubling down on the brand's official story, that every Hermès product is handcrafted in France by elite artisans who train for years before even touching a Birkin. That narrative is the heart of their pricing strategy.
Does anybody have the Louis Vuitton from China and a Louis Vuitton that they got at the designer store? Because I need to see a side-by-side. I have to know if there's any discrepancies or any differences, or is it the exact same thing? Because I'm starting to feel ripped the fuck off right now. I got a closet full of this shit that I paid thousands for. And you're telling me it's all been made in China and I could have just gone straight to China and gotten this shit? It just can't be the same. It cannot be the same. And if it is, damn, we all got played. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us. Seriously, please don't tell me I got played. I refuse to believe that there's no difference.
And it's the foundation of their status. And let's be honest, status is everything when it comes to luxury. In a strongly worded public statement, Hermès reiterated its commitment to heritage craftsmanship and the exceptional standards of French luxury. The lawsuits themselves were filed across multiple jurisdictions, signaling that this isn't just a PR move. It's war. They want to scare any other factory, leaker, or whistleblower from ever coming forward again.
Got a lot of requests, do Hermes next. And that's why we're here in the Highland Park Mall in Italy. Made in China. Or maybe made in Chile. Oh yeah, that should be a thing, by the way. I have spent over $100,000 of my own money dissecting luxury bags. Cutting them open, analyzing every stitch, every layer. Why? Because I had to know what made those bags so expensive.
But behind the scenes, insiders say Hermès is panicking because these lawsuits open up a whole new set of problems. If the accused manufacturers fight back and bring evidence, Hermès could be forced to reveal more about its internal operations than it ever intended. Think supplier invoices, material sourcing, even production line audits. If any of that,
it's made in China. I can get that for $12. Go outside and touch grass. Some of you guys feel like this is your moment to shine and you can finally stick it to people that buy luxury goods without like even fact checking anything about any of this information that you're being fed from these factories or people with these TikTok videos which seemingly have false information, everything from pricing to the bags. Like, I just don't understand. A lot of these luxury brands own their own manufacturing and source product from farms that they own. Hermès owns its own tanneries and crocodile and alligator farms, has workshops in France, and most bags are made by a single artisan. So go ahead and buy your DH-Gate bag, whatever bag, and see how it holds up over the years. Trust me, Hermès is not concerned.
Ends up in court, the brand's luxury image could take a permanent hit. And don't forget, Hermès is suing in the very regions where these manufacturers operate. It's risky, because if even one Chinese court sides with the factory and not the fashion house, it could set a precedent. Other manufacturers could be emboldened to come forward, and the whole fragile ecosystem of luxury mystique could collapse. The lawsuits may be framed as a defense of intellectual property.
It requires a lot of skill to turn it and get it on the right way.
Il y a des bouchées, des bacs plus 4, 5, 6, on en a. Hein.
But they're also a defense of perception. Hermès knows that if this story spirals, it could lose the one thing it can't manufacture: trust. And that wasn't the only problem. The internet didn't just react, it exploded. Within hours of the Chinese manufacturer's expose making the rounds, hashtags like a Hermes scam and luxury lies were trending globally. TikTokers were stitching side-by-side comparisons of $38,000 Hermès bags and near-identical versions allegedly made in the same factories for under $2,000. Instagram influencers who once flaunted their Hermès collections suddenly went dark. YouTubers who reviewed high-end fashion were now tearing into Hermès with fire-breathing titles like "I got played by Hermès" and "The truth they hid from us." Consumers weren't just surprised, they were furious. People felt betrayed. For decades, Hermès cultivated an image of earned luxury, a brand that stood for time, skill, and scarcity. But now, the entire mystique seemed like a smoke show. The idea that customers were shelling out the cost of a down payment on a house for a bag that allegedly cost less than a plane ticket to manufacture. It was a gut punch. And this wasn't just fashion fanatics throwing tantrums. Financial analysts, cultural critics, and even former luxury brand consultants chimed in, saying this could mark a watershed moment for the industry, a reckoning. Suddenly, the price tag wasn't about prestige. It looked like daylight robbery. Everywhere you turned, someone was questioning, is any of this stuff actually worth it? Is luxury just a well-marketed illusion? Are we really paying for quality, or are we just paying to feel better than everyone else? The public wasn't asking. For refunds, they were demanding answers. And the longer Hermes stayed vague, the worse it got. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more chaotic, they did. Hermes may have taken the first bullet, but they weren't the only ones in the line of fire. The second this scandal went viral, the luxury fashion world started sweating. Suddenly, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Dior, and Gucci were being dragged into the same burning spotlight. If Hermes was allegedly outsourcing to China while pretending their products were handcrafted in elite European ateliers, then who else was doing it too? And here's the kicker. Some insiders started whispering that Hermes wasn't an outlier. It was the standard fashion watchdogs, YouTube documentarians, and even TikTok factory workers began hinting at the same thing, that several top-tier brands were outsourcing components, cutting corners, and using the same overseas suppliers while upcharging consumers into oblivion. And with the Hermes controversy now public, the floodgates opened. Suddenly, Chanel's $10,000 coat didn't look so chic. Gucci's $100 slides were under scrutiny for being made with PVC and a stamp. People began posting receipts, literally. Supply chain breakdowns, factory leaks, even customs documents surfaced on social media, pointing toward offshoring and cost-cutting across the entire high-end sector. Consumers who had spent years building loyalty to these brands were now feeling duped. Loyalty turned to skepticism. Pride turned to shame. The conversation shifted from, what bag should I save for, to, what the hell have we been paying for? And the ripple effect didn't stop there. Shareholders started asking questions. Boutique sales dipped. Suddenly, the luxury industry wasn't just navigating a scandal, it was staring down an identity crisis. But that wasn't even the most dangerous part. You want to know just how bad things got? Look no further than China, one of Hermes' most important markets and the beating heart of global luxury sales. This scandal didn't just bruise the brand, it triggered a full-on consumer revolt in the region. Sales tanked, pop-up stores stood eerily empty, and in a market where image is everything, that silence was deafening. For years, Chinese consumers have been Hermes' most loyal clientele, driving demand for Birkins, scarves, watches, and anything with that signature orange box. But this expose, it felt personal. Chinese buyers weren't just upset about the prices, they were outraged that factories in their own country were allegedly being used for elite Western brands, only for those same brands to pretend the craftsmanship came from Paris. It was like being good enough to build the product, but not good enough to get credit for it. That cultural slap didn't go unnoticed. And as consumers in China pulled back, the numbers started to tell a terrifying story. Hermes' quarterly sales report, normally glowing, came in flat. Analysts noticed a sharp dip in Chinese spending on luxury goods, not just from Hermes, but across the board. The ripple was real. More consumers started shifting toward transparent, homegrown luxury alternatives. Brands that were proud of their supply chain, that didn't hide behind a curtain of exclusivity or sell dreams wrapped in imported tissue paper. Young buyers especially began favoring labels that offered authenticity over prestige. The old formula, mystery plus scarcity equals desire, was breaking down. And the luxury sector, which had relied on it for decades, had no playbook for what came next. Because now, they weren't just selling handbags, they were fighting for credibility.